Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang channel. Thanks for joining me once again. Warhammer Roleplay Week rocks on, as today I am going to take a first look at Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Lustria from Cubicle 7 Games. This is written by Dave Allen, Steve Darlington, Michael Duxbury, Jude Hornborg, Charles Morrison, Alfred Nunez, Pedrick Murphy, Clive Oldfield, Samuel Poots, Anthony Reagan, and Simon Weilman. This 224-page hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $49.99. In order to get that free PDF, you do have to order from Cubicle 7 or one of their partners, or you can just score the PDF alone over at DriveThruRPG for $24.99. All right, all that said, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got Lustria for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. Couple of things to mention before we jump on in. First of all, my friends over at Cubicle 7 were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else affiliated with Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this coverage with you. These days, it's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of Lustria, but I do want to give you a very good feel for what you're going to find inside this book. So the previous release for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay was Sea of Claws, which allowed us to leave the old world behind. Now we're going to take a look at the new world. And I do believe this is where the Vampire Coast is located. And I think this is where lizardmen originate from. So this, I have an impression, is going to provide us with kind of a jungle exploration sort of setting. I don't think that's the entire book, but I think that's going to play a big part in this. So looking at the back, perilous adventures in a mysterious continent. Far from the shores of the old world across the great ocean is the mysterious continent of Lustria. Tales tell of troves of golden treasure and repositories of arcane lore, ready for the taking by those bold enough to risk it. Each week, it seems that another ship full of hopeful adventurers departs this new world on a voyage of exploration. Those who make landfall on the shores of Lustria find themselves in an environment that is wholly inimical to warm-blooded life. The jungles seethe with venomous snakes, carnivorous lizards, poisonous flora, and deadly disease. The few precarious settlements that cling to the coast arouse the ire of Lustria's oldest inhabitants, the lizardmen, who sally forth from their temple cities to destroy all who encroach on their territory. And then it's going to talk about what we've got inside the book, but we're going to be taking a look inside, so I'm not going to read that. So it looks as if we open up with a map of the continent with various different important locations. That's very cool. I like that. Nice. So here's our credits page. So let's make sure we give credit where credit is due. Quite a lot of illustrators took part in the production of this book. I'm not going to read their names because I'll butcher at least half of them, but do want to make sure that we do share some credit here. We're going to get into our table of contents. So it looks as if we're going to get an overview, Land of the Ancients, Places of Power, Skeggy, Kutza, the Defiled. Then we get the Vampire Coast, Citadel of Dusk, Temple Cities, and Tlatzlan, Servants of the Old Ones, probably kind of a bestiary there for, the lizardmen. And then we do have a bestiary. And then campaigning in Lustria, as well as Lustrian adventures. So it says 3 quick adventures set in and around Lustria. So we get into the Land of the Ancients. Across the great ocean, far to the west of the old world, is a vast, mysterious continent. It is a place of legend and rumor, for few explorers have managed to penetrate its dense jungle or chart its rolling southern plains. To most folk of the old world, it is so distant and enigmatic that it may as well not exist, but stories tell of vast wealth and ancient lore that can be discovered there. Each week, ships carrying adventurers and colonists cross the ocean. Looks like we've got the lizardmen there. It's probably a bit of a gazetteer to give us some background about Lustria. And then looks like a bit of fiction, possibly. Then we get the reality of Lustria. What humans of the old world know of Lustria is a shadow of the truth. At one time, the world was inhospitable, swathed in sheets of ice and volcanic wastelands. Only a strip of verdant jungle existed around the equator. This was the world as the old ones found it. These interstellar travelers had such a mastery of technology and magic that it was difficult to discern where their scientific expertise ended and their arcane understanding began. And yes, you do notice it says old ones. There is a little bit of a mythos vibe to those old ones. So it looks like the reality of Lustria for the various different species. There's a timeline of events. These are places of power. So important locales. The Great Confluence. Travelers hear the Great Confluence long before they see it. Here in Lustria's heartland, rivers come together and hurl themselves over cliffs, forming waterfalls larger than any other in the known world. The throaty roar is deafening, and fine cold spray fills the air, lacing every breath with the taste of rain. Yet grand as the waterfalls are, they pale next to the three pyramids which ride upon their mists. I'm excited to take a peek at this new continent. Because if you are familiar with the Gaming Gang, if you've watched some of my videos, you know I really like WFRP a ton. I think it is a wholly unique fantasy role-playing game. It's got a nice sense of humor to it. The adventures that come out from Cubicle 7 are top-notch. Of course, it wasn't that long ago that the director's cut of The Enemy Within wrapped up, which was excellent. I really like Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. So now we get into Quitza the Defiled. Looks like this is it says a once proud temple city. So it must be kind of an overrun ruin now, maybe. Here we have the Vampire Coast, a colony of shambling corpses and drowned ghosts in thrall to a depraved lord. I think it's Lord Harkon, isn't it? Different locations. There you go, Luther Harkon. Luther Harkon is many things: vampire, former witch and necromancer, and self-styled Arch-Grand Commodore of Harkon's fleet, pirate king of the Vampire Coast, and emperor of Lustria. His schemes are limitless, and his cruelty knows no bounds. He is the terror of all the lands around the great ocean. He is also thoroughly insane. Well, isn't that nice to know? We have the Citadel of Dusk. Lustria's southern cape is guarded by the fortress outpost of distant kingdoms. So this might be a bastion of humanity and other civilized species. So as an example, just talking about elf colonies there. It appears this book is just crammed full of goodies. Temple cities and Taloxtlon. I think this is where we're going to get into the lizardmen. It's at the abodes of the lizardmen. Looks like these are lizardmen cities, or temple cities, I guess we'll say. Temple city structures. Important NPCs. So locations in Taloxtlon. So we get some more fiction there. This is Servants of the Old Ones. The Slan. Did we just skip some of the lizardmen? We may have. Oh, no. Here we go. There's the old ones. Still talking about the old ones. Okay, then we have the Slan. I just wanted to make sure that we didn't just skip past the lizardmen. We have high magic. There we go. The lizardmen. The lizardmen are several species ruled over by the Slan. The most numerous are the diminutive skinks, the workers and administrators of the temple cities and outlying settlements. The saurus are soldiers assigned to fight and protect. The croxagore are muscle, bred for heavy labor. Lizardmen don't reproduce. They are born from spawning pools into preordained roles determined as part of the Old One's grand, complex scheme. Their motivations are very different from those of warm-blooded species. They do not crave power or position, as this was assigned to them by incomprehensible intelligences many thousands of years ago. Well, I wonder if we get information for players to take on the roles of lizardmen. Kind of curious. So here we've got the skinks, the saurus, Scar veteran Crutzelsaurus of Sotek. This is an important NPC. Very nice artwork there. As you can tell, the artwork throughout, really, really nice. Looks like we got a lot of info about the lizardmen. Very cool. See, we're still looking at the lizardmen here. Their weapons and armor. We get some new weapons, like a blowpipe. Flora and fungi. So this is our bestiary we're into now. Amphibians and reptiles like the blot toad, the tiguana. Large monsters, cold one, salamander, razordon. So it does appear Lustria will have some dinosaurs. Sweet. Well, with the lizardmen there, I think dinosaurs are pretty much their mounts. Giant carnivores, or I should say gigantic carnivores. Use of monsters in the game. To make their impact significant, most monsters described in this section should be used sparingly, especially those of enormous or monstrous size. Largest creatures of the Lustrian jungle tend to live far from Skeggy and the other coastal settlements. One would have to trek deep into the wilds to encounter such beasts. So we've got some encountered tables here. Campaigning in Lustria. So probably some rules for the game master. Although right off the bat, it says new character options, party frameworks, colonial settlement, voyage of discovery, shipwrecked, call of the old ones, different habitats. Okay, so we get new careers. Okay, so we're going to start off. We've got the interpreter, oracle, survivalist. Survivalists are hardened veterans who have learned how to stay alive in the most lethal parts of the world. Trailblazer. So those are some new careers with their career paths. So we get some rules about jungle expeditions, exploring temple cities, Lustrian events. This is really nicely done. New endeavors such as deforestation, boat building, patrolling the border, entertaining. So those are downtime endeavors. And then I think we wrapped up with some short adventure ideas, right? Yeah, it looks like real quick adventures, a trio of them. They don't even take up a page in length, it looks. And then we'll wrap up with our index. Very nice. So that is a look inside Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay Lustria from Cubicle 7 Games. Of course, I will have a review of Lustria in the not-too-distant future. That is it for this time out. If you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, don't forget, ring that bell. It will not only let you know when I share videos such as this first look, it'll also inform you when my live stream, the Gaming Gang Dispatch, airs Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central, right here on YouTube. Of course, when you're not watching videos here on the channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on the YouTube channel. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Warhammer Roleplay Week will continue tomorrow. And of course, thank you very much for watching. I'm Jeff McAleer. And until I see you next time, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.